Okay, guys, we got a pretty serious story to talk about today. Because today, we found out that the Supreme Court is not going to be reviewing the Texas abortion law. Meaning, they're not going to go in there and overturn it, even though it's obviously unconstitutional. It is. This abortion law stops abortions at 6 weeks. And when we look at Roe versus Wade was very clear that excessive government interference in stopping women from getting abortions was unconstitutional. This is an obvious example of that. Somebody say 2 weeks? Pretty sure it was 6 weeks. We'll read it in a second and I'll clarify. Either way, it is unconstitutional. People can argue the morality of abortion, but it is unconstitutional. And the Supreme Court, with its 6-3 conservative majority, will not be looking at the case. And they're putting in a little sneaky workaround, as somebody brought up in chat, to allow people to go bounty hunting for people who are getting abortions. Go report them. Letting the private citizens do it for them. Let them do the dirty work. So people have to legitimately live in fear if they want to go get an abortion. Let's read a little bit about this before I talk about this at length, because I have a lot of things to say and I'm very angry. With the U.S. Supreme Court, a new law went into effect in Texas that bans abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. That's well before many women even know they are pregnant. The law allows private citizens to sue abortion providers and anyone else who helps a woman obtain an abortion, including those who give a woman a ride to a clinic or provide a financial assistance to provide an abortion. So this isn't just bounty hunting women who are in a vulnerable state and in a very emotionally intensive spot in their lives to make choices about their own body. But if you assist them in any way, you give them money to help out or even just ride them to the clinic or the clinic themselves, of course, which would have to provide the services. They strike down upon you. This is clearly unconstitutional according to Roe versus Wade. It is excessive government interference. Letter of the law clearly shows that this should not be allowed. Private citizens who bring these suits don't need to show any connection to those they are suing. The law makes no exception for cases involving rape or incest. No, let me repeat that. The law makes no exception for cases involving rape or incest. Now, this right here is religious extremism and fundamentalism run amok. This is someone taking their religious beliefs about abortions, disregarding the law of the land, the Constitution, saying, fuck that separation, fuck the Constitution, my God comes first, now let's harass people getting abortions. Let's harass their clinics and healthcare providers. Let's harass their family members who give them money. Let's harass anyone who even helps them, just drives them to the clinic. 6 weeks. Clearly unconstitutional. And you know, many of the same people who are beating the drums to fight the Taliban and stop the religious fundamentalism overseas are the same people pushing an American style of religious fundamentalism and trying to destroy the barriers of church and state at home. And you know what? I would buy the narratives a lot more internationally if we saw the same consistency domestically. And it's kind of hard to make an argument to the world that we care about feminism when we're doing shit like this in our own country, which is against the law. It's unconstitutional. Why does the law prohibit? What does the law prohibit? It bans abortion as soon as cardiac activity is detectable. That's around 6 weeks, which is before a lot of people know they're pregnant. Other states have tried to do this, but those laws have been challenged by abortion rights groups and been blocked by federal courts again and again. So it's not like, oh, it's up in the air. Is it legal? Is it isn't? This was passed with the knowledge, knowing that this has been struck down a time again and again and again and again and again by federal courts. And that if anybody was looking at the Constitution clearly, with no political bias binders on, that this is unconstitutional. You would have to overturn Roe versus Wade to enact this, and you know what? They haven't done it. How is the law different from other states' efforts? Groups who oppose abortion rights have pushed for this Texas law, hoping that it would be harder for federal courts to knock it down. Instead of requiring public officials to enforce the law, this law allows individuals to bring civil lawsuits against abortion providers or anyone else found to aid or abet illegal abortions. This law empowers individuals to enforce an abortion ban. How would that work in practice? Anyone who successfully sues an abortion provider under this law could be awarded at least $10,000. Prepare for that, Texas Right to Life has set up what it calls a whistleblower website where people can submit anonymous tips about anyone they believe to be violating the law. These lawsuits are not against the women, says John Ciego with Texas Right to Life. Yes, they are. The lawsuits would be against the individuals making money off of the abortion industry itself. So this is not a spy on your neighbor and see if they're having an abortion. It is, though. You're reporting them to a whistleblower website. I believe Susan had an abortion. Yeah, 555 Cherrywood Lane. Go check it out. That's what you're doing. You are spying on your neighbors, peeking through the windows, looking for signs, reporting on those, are those profiting off of abortion. You can sue those who give them money. That's not people profiting off of abortion. That's people spending money to help them get that health care. Those who drive them, that's people spending their gas money to get people. They're not making anything off of it. What the fuck are you talking about? In a federal lawsuit challenging this, a coalition of abortion providers and reproductive rights groups said the law places a bounty on people who provide or aid abortions, inviting random strangers to sue them. What does the law mean for parents and abortion providers? A family medicine doctor who works for Planned Parenthood in Houston says the law created a lot of uncertainty for patients and providers, but Kumar insists he will comply. The ban, though, will likely mean a lot of questions from patients about how they can get an abortion outside of Texas. I know there are many people who don't have the ability to make it out of the state. The logistics and ability to do so is not an option for them. So I'm really concerned about what's going to happen to people. Over the weekend, so the patients are apprehensive. They understand that the abortion that they're having this week, last week, the week before, is something that they wouldn't be able to have next week. They've been asking about it and asking, if I was here in September, would I be able to do this? If the federal court, what does it mean for laws and other states? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, you get the purpose. So the first thing I want to say is, this is not going to stop abortion, okay? I've already talked about how it's unconstitutional. Well, let's talk about, the goal of this is to stop abortion. You know what it's going to do? It's going to make abortion more deadly. Number one, people are just going to go to other states. And power to them. I've seen a lot of people willing to host people to get abortions. If you want to have an abortion, you're in Texas right now, see if there's anybody willing to host you to be able to get this service. Out of state lines. So you don't get sued and spied on by your creepy neighbors. Because you want to control your body how you want to control your body. That's the first thing. Second thing, those who don't have the means and don't have a sponsor, what are they going to do if it's past 6 weeks? Which is an obvious excessive restriction on abortion. They're going to get back alley abortions. They're going to use coat hangers. They're going to use other methods. Methods that are a lot less safe for the person getting said abortion. What you're going to see is more people getting abortions in riskier and riskier and riskier circumstances. You're not protecting life. You're pushing people into circumstances that put their own life at risk and endanger more people. That's what you're doing. And you're doing it in an unconstitutional fashion. From so many people who are like, I care about the Constitution. I uphold the Constitution. I respect the Constitution. But right when it touches a little spot you don't like, it means nothing now. If you cared about the Constitution, you'd be challenging Roe versus Wade directly. You want to be using these back alley weird ways to let private citizens do it. You'd be challenging Roe versus Wade directly. You wouldn't be doing this. This is scummy. And it's wrong. Honestly disgusting. Honestly disgusting. By the way, I want to tell everybody something. You know that whistleblower website where you can leave tips? Anyone can leave a tip. Anyone. You, me, or your friends. So, if I was to give anybody a suggestion I would say that you guys should all go out and leave them a ton of tips. I mean, a ton. I would say, you know what? If it's law now, might as well help them out. Go and leave them some tips. Now, the tips that you would leave maybe aren't the tips they're looking for. But I'm just saying. Maybe you should leave them a few tips. And but, I mean, if you were gonna, maybe leave tips that were unhelpful, you wouldn't want to go to this website right here and click this, send an anonymous tip, and just send them complete nonsense. That would be very unproductive, and you should not do that. Whatever you do not do that. I am advising you not to go to this website and send them bad tips full of bogus nonsense. I'm advising you not to do that. Because that would be very naughty. That's a suggestion from me. Now, back to the topic at hand. I want to talk about something, an extension, that's attached to this, and that has to do with the Supreme Court. Now, for the longest time, the Supreme Court has been a discussion around who's president, who's not president, that people kind of roll their eyes at. A few select people, that is. Now, the reason why is people always hear about the Supreme Court, but most people don't follow the cases. Most people don't go case to case to case and see how the Supreme Court decides on it. These are really the stories where the news comes out about the Supreme Court. And when the rubber meets the road. But most of the time, people don't see what the Supreme Court's doing because it's backroom bureaucracy in a way. All legalistic stuff. Most people don't pay attention. And so, in 2016, there was some people who didn't take the threat of Donald Trump appointing Supreme Court justices very seriously. And Donald Trump didn't appoint one Supreme Court justice. He didn't appoint two Supreme Court justices. He appointed 3 Supreme Court justices. That is a massive shift in the balance of the Supreme Court, and that's why it's now a 6-3 conservative majority. And look, I understand that many people didn't like Hillary, but that was one of the best possible arguments to vote for Hillary Clinton, is the fact that Donald Trump and the conservative far right were going to have control over those Supreme Court lifetime appointments. But some people didn't take the threat seriously, obviously. Not only because Hillary didn't win, but because a lot of people seem to dismiss the threat. In fact, I'm going to call out specific individuals. The first person I want to call out is Brianna Joy Gray. Now, she tweeted back in 2017 that you guys are 100% wrong about the importance of the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, and support for Hillary Rodham Clinton. Now, obviously, a shift of 3 Supreme Court justices is something to worry about. And I think the women of Texas might peek their head up a bit at the idea that it's wrong when it comes to the importance of that, when NPR was talking about that in connection to this. And you want to know what? Apparently, Brianna Joy Gray, once this was getting shared around, deleted this tweet. Doesn't want people to see this tweet. Maybe she no longer agrees with the tweet. And I'm like, okay, well, at least she, even if it was really embarrassing and she was wrong, at least she doesn't agree with it anymore. But no. Once this gets called out, I was right. People like you tried to use the Supreme Court as a bully tactic to avoid addressing legitimate concerns about Hillary Rodham Clinton, failed to convince enough voters to beat Trump. This is on you. It was the Democrats who promoted Trump and rigged the primary for Hillary. There she is. So, there's a few problems here. Number one, bully tactic. That's the Supreme Court. It was a bully tactic. It wasn't a bully tactic. It was people frustrated Because even if you didn't like Hillary for a million different reasons, that was a massive reason to vote for Hillary Rodham Clinton. It's not a bully tactic to bring up that legitimacy. For example, let's say I had some problems with Bernie Sanders and you walk up to me and you say, but Medicare for all. And I say, well, that's just a bully tactic because I disagree with what he did in Bosnia. Yeah, Hillary Clinton had a lot of mistakes, but holy shit, the Supreme Court was the biggest reason that we needed to vote for Hillary Rodham Clinton. And it's kind of hard for you to say, I was right now in defense because people found that you deleted that tweet after this happened. Because now people's rights to control their own bodies are at risk. But Brianna doesn't live in Texas, so who knows? And of course, Jimmy Dore, everybody's favorite. If the tired old 30-year-old Supreme Court argument doesn't scare you into voting neoliberal, well, they've bumped it up a notch for you. The old tactic, oh my God, can't believe people are somewhat concerned about how people interpret the United States Constitution when it comes to people's, control of their own bodies, freedom of speech, right to bear arms. Not only this, but we're going to listen to a little segment he had back and forth with Sam Cedar. I reviewed this video in full, this debate back and forth in full earlier on my channel. You can actually find that YouTube channel if you look up like Sam Cedar, Jimmy Dore debate, DylanBurnsTV. You can find my review of that. Well, let's listen to Jimmy Dore talk about the odds of this happening. Because Jimmy Dore didn't even think it was possible.
Vote for anybody. I don't want you to listen. No, Jimmy, you're missing my point. I don't want you to vote. I don't care who you vote for. You live in California. What I want you to do is to stop offering theories about politics on your platform that are bogus, that are not
I think I just proved to you they're not bogus, Sam. You haven't proved that they're bogus at all, except that you said it. I think I just kind of showed you how you're wrong about it.
So somebody said, control your bodies, accept the vaccine. Well, here's the difference. You not getting vaccinated affects everyone else because of COVID and how COVID as a disease and pandemic can affect others. If someone was to get an abortion, that doesn't affect your health or the economy or everything shutting down. It's their own personal decision. It affects their lives. It can't cause other people and grandmas to die in nursing homes because they decided to get an abortion. That's not how, it doesn't work. It's not the same thing.
All this stuff, and you're voting out of fear again. Out of fear. Oh, because there might be 2 Supreme Court judges. What if there's 3? What if the moon falls into Lake Michigan? What are we going to do then?
Now, Jimmy, let's talk about risk assessment.
Just roll over?
Do you think there's a difference in the probability that 2 80-year-olds with multiple cases of cancer are going to serve out their term versus the moon falling into Lake Michigan?
Be clear. Jimmy Dore compared 2 Supreme Court justices, 2 to 3 specifically, getting appointed to the Supreme Court, to the moon falling into Lake Michigan. Basically, he said it was completely impossible that 3 Supreme Court justices, hell, even 2, was completely impossible. What happened? 3 Supreme Court justices were appointed to the Supreme Court, and now women in Texas can't get abortions.
I just disagree with.
It wasn't 2. It was 3. It was 3 Supreme Court justices.
Forecasting, Sam. I don't agree with it. I think it's a bigger risk.
Do you want to look at actuarial tables for the life expectancy of an 80-year-old man who's had multiple cancers?
Sam, I can right now get you a great deal on term life insurance, and you know that's the best insurance there is.
I have term.
See? You know it. Sam, this is about me being better looking, isn't it?
I mean, listen. It's not funny to me, and that's the problem. Is that it is not funny to me. I think it's really dangerous. What is
dangerous? That people vote their conscience?
No, I think what's dangerous.
Look, he was wrong about it even happening. He didn't think it was possible. Now it did, and now people's constitutional rights are on the chopping block. Joy is trying to put a spin on it. It's not working. We all saw what she put out, and we all saw her delete the tweet. Look, I'm not trying to use this as a point to rag on them. Well, maybe a little bit. But my greater point is, for the love of God, for the love of all that is holy, in the future, when people bring up the Supreme Court as a reason as to why we should be concerned about Republicans controlling the executive branch of this country because they will be able to make appointments, please listen. Please take it into consideration and don't just shove it off as, oh, that's bureaucratic nonsense.
I am gay and I am high, so I am gonna try take some pride bits.
Thanks for the 420. I appreciate that. Gay and high. And lastly, when it comes to this story, well, this just aged like fine milk, didn't it? This just aged like fine milk. This is from March 3rd, 2016. Dear everyone who said Ruth Bader Ginsburg should retire, you were wrong. The Texas abortion case before the Supreme Court is just further proof that the justice knew what she was doing. What gets me about this is they specifically mention a Texas abortion case. That's what gets me about this article. Well, for anybody who's in Texas and is affected by this legislation, my sympathies go out to you. I hope you have sponsors out of state and you're getting the support you need. And again, just saying, whatever you do, don't go to the website that we provided earlier in today's stream and send them some amazing tips that are not actually that helpful. That would be very bad that everybody who watched this video just went there and just sent them a quick message. Just a quick message. Anything. That would be not good. Don't do that, definitely. What is the website again? I'm sure somebody will post it in chat in order for you to not go there and do that. Sure, somebody will do that. Anyway. Oh, not a fun story today, is it? Done with that. Oh, here it is. So yeah, do not go here. And then click this. And then go here and type in something like, how do I think the law has been violated? And then you type, I dating your father and we are now gay married. Like, don't do stuff like that because this is not helpful. Don't do that. That's not helpful at all. Like, who does that help? It helps literally no one. Next to no one if you were to go onto the site and do exactly that. So don't do it. I'll post this in chat so you guys know not to do it. And this will be posted under the YouTube video of this eventually as well, so you know not to do it.
And definitely don't use a VPN.
Yeah, and definitely don't use that either. That wouldn't be helpful at all.